Summer. 2017 in Seattle was particularly warm. The city, immersed in the greenery of parks and the reflections of skyscrapers in the waters of Puget Sound, lived its measured life. In one of the cozy suburbs, where houses stood on neat lawns and the laughter of children could be heard in the evenings, lived the Harrison family. Matt Harrison, 38, was a software engineer at a large IT company. His wife, Sarah Harrison, 36, worked as an English teacher at a local high school. They had a son, Jake, who had recently turned 10, and a daughter, Lily, 7 years old. Their house stood on a quiet street where everyone knew each other, and barbecues were held on weekends. Matt and Sarah met in college in Boston and moved together to the West Coast when Matt was offered his dream job. Their marriage seemed perfect. 2 children, stable jobs, a cozy home, joint trips to nature, family holidays. But behind the facade of prosperity were cracks that grew deeper every year. Sarah had always been the life of the party, easily made friends, knew how to listen and support. Matt, on the contrary, was reserved, immersed in work, often stayed late at the office and at home preferred solitude with a book or laptop. Over time, their conversations were reduced to discussing everyday issues and raising children. Sarah increasingly felt lonely, despite the external well-being. Everything changed in the spring of 2017 when a new history teacher, Alex Carter, came to the school where Sarah worked. Tall, with dark hair and a piercing gaze, he immediately attracted the attention of colleagues. Alex was a few years younger than Sarah, recently moved to Seattle from Chicago, where he left a failed marriage. He was charismatic, knew how to joke, talked about traveling in Europe, played the guitar, and quickly became a favorite of students. Sarah and Alex met at a teachers' conference. At first, they were connected only by work issues, but soon they began to stay after school, discussing literature, music, movies. Alex listened to Sarah with sincere interest, asked questions, laughed at her jokes. She felt young, desirable, and interesting again. Matt noticed changes in his wife. She began to smile more often, enthusiastically talked about work, stayed late in the evenings. He attributed this to spring fatigue and new projects at school. But one day, when Sarah came home later than usual, he felt anxious. She explained the delay by preparing for the school play, but there was uncertainty in her voice. That evening, Matt couldn't sleep for a long time. He remembered how he and Sarah could talk for hours, how they dreamed together about the future, how they rejoiced in every day. Now, a wall seemed to have grown between them. He tried to talk to his wife, but she avoided frankness, citing fatigue. Sarah, in turn, felt guilty. She understood that her attraction to Alex was not just a friendship. She caught herself waiting for his messages, rejoicing in every compliment, looking for reasons to stay at school. She tried to convince herself that it was just a hobby, that she loved Matt and was not capable of betrayal. But the feelings became stronger. At the end of May, the school organized a trip for teachers and high school students to Olympic National Park. Sarah and Alex were in the same group, responsible for preparing the route. In the evening, when the children were already asleep, they sat by the fire, talking about life, dreams, fears. Alex talked about his divorce, about how hard it was to start all over again. Sarah shared her doubts, admitted that she felt lost. Nothing happened between them that night, but tension hung in the air. On the way back, Sarah couldn't stop thinking about how Alex looked at her, how his hand accidentally touched her shoulder. She understood that she was on the verge but couldn't stop. In June, as the school year drew to a close, Sarah and Alex increasingly stayed alone after school. One day, when the school was empty, Alex invited Sarah to his office. He put on music, poured a glass of wine, and they talked for a long time. At some point, their eyes met, and everything happened by itself. It was the first kiss, followed by hugs, confessions, promises to be careful. Sarah returned home late, with trembling hands and a heart full of contradictions. She looked at her sleeping children, at her husband, who was already asleep, and couldn't understand how she had gotten into this situation. She was tormented by guilt, but the desire to be with Alex was stronger. Summer became a time of double life for Sarah. During the day, she was a caring mother, wife, teacher, and in the evenings, a woman who waits for messages from her beloved, looks for reasons to meet, lives in anticipation of short dates. Alex rented a small apartment in the city center where they sometimes met after work. Matt was increasingly immersed in work. He felt that he was losing his wife, but didn't know how to restore their former closeness. He tried to arrange family dinners, offered to go on vacation, but Sarah found excuses. She said she was tired, that she needed to prepare for the new school year, that the children didn't tolerate changes in the environment well. One day, Matt accidentally saw a message on Sarah's phone. It was short. "I miss you. Waiting for you." He didn't read further, but his heart ached with pain. He didn't know what to do. Talk to his wife? Make a scene? Pretend that nothing had happened? He chose the latter, hoping that everything would work out by itself. Sarah, feeling that Matt suspected something, became more careful. She deleted the correspondence with Alex, came up with new excuses, but inside she felt more and more emptiness. She understood that she couldn't live like this for long, that sooner or later she would have to make a choice. In August, when the heat in Seattle reached its peak, Sarah and Alex decided to spend the weekend together. She told Matt that she was going to a teacher seminar, and she went with Alex to Portland. These were 2 days of happiness when they could be themselves, not hide, not lie. They walked around the city, sat in cafes, laughed, made plans for the future. But upon returning, Sarah felt that something had changed. Matt met her coldly. The children were aloof. She realized that she was losing her family, that her happiness was built on lies. Alex offered to start a new life, to leave together, but Sarah couldn't decide. She was held back by the children, fear of the unknown, a sense of duty to her husband. In early September, Matt finally decided to talk to his wife. He asked directly if she had someone else. Sarah couldn't lie. She confessed everything, told about her feelings, about how she lacked attention, how she tried to fight herself but couldn't. Matt was shocked. He didn't shout, didn't make a scene, just silently left the house. He didn't come back that night. Sarah sat in the kitchen, unable to hold back tears. She understood that she had destroyed everything that was dear. The next day, Matt returned. He said that he didn't know what to do next, that he needed time. Sarah suggested living separately to sort things out. The children didn't understand anything but felt the tension. Alex was waiting for Sarah's decision. He was ready to accept her with the children, to start all over again. But Sarah couldn't make a choice. She loved Alex, but couldn't leave her family. She felt torn between two worlds, not knowing where her real happiness was. Summer ended. Silence reigned in the Harrison house. Each of them tried to find answers to their questions, to understand what to do next. Sarah stood by the window, watched the sunset, and thought that her life would never be the same. After Sarah's confession of infidelity, an atmosphere of alienation reigned in the Harrison house. Matt moved to a small apartment he rented on the outskirts of the city. He tried to see the children as often as possible, took them on weekends, took them to the movies, to the park, tried to compensate for his absence. But Jake and Lily felt that something was wrong, that their parents were no longer together. Sarah stayed in the house alone. She continued to work at school, but now every day was a test for her. Colleagues sympathized with her, but their eyes read condemnation. She avoided meetings with Alex, realizing that their relationship had caused her unhappiness. Alex, in turn, did not give up trying to contact Sarah. He called, wrote messages, came to her house, but she didn't answer. He understood that he had made a mistake, that he had destroyed someone else's family, but he couldn't let Sarah go. He loved her and believed that they could be happy together. One evening, when Sarah was returning home, Alex was waiting for her at the entrance. He begged her to talk, to explain why she was avoiding him. Sarah agreed, but asked him not to come anymore. They talked for a long time in the car. Sarah said that she needed time to sort things out, that she couldn't make a decision until she understood what she really wanted. Alex agreed to wait, but asked her not to lose hope. He believed that they could overcome all the difficulties and be together. Sarah didn't answer anything. She got out of the car and, without looking back, went home. Matt, despite the pain and resentment, couldn't forget Sarah. He remembered their happy years, the birth of children, joint trips. He understood that there were problems in their relationship, but didn't think that everything would go so far. He decided to try to talk to Sarah, to find out if there was a chance for reconciliation. He invited her to dinner at the restaurant where they once celebrated their wedding anniversary. Sarah agreed, but came with caution. The evening passed in a tense atmosphere. They talked about children, about work, about the past. Matt admitted that he missed Sarah, that it was hard for him to live alone. He asked if she still loved him. Sarah didn't know what to answer. She still had feelings for Matt, but her heart was broken. She understood that their relationship would never be the same, that the shadow of infidelity would always stand between them. She told Matt that she needed time to understand what she wanted. She asked him not to pressure her, to give her the opportunity to sort things out. Matt agreed, but said that he wouldn't wait forever. Jake and Lily were having a hard time with their parents' separation. They missed Matt, joint games, his bedtime stories. They didn't understand why their parents no longer lived together, why they no longer laughed, no longer hugged. One day, Jake asked Sarah why Dad had left. Sarah didn't know what to answer. She didn't want to tell the children the truth, didn't want them to hate her. She said that the parents were just tired of each other, that they needed time to rest. Jake didn't believe it. He said that he knew that Mom loved another man, that he had seen her talking to him at school. Sarah was shocked. She didn't know that the children saw everything, understood everything. She decided to talk to the children frankly. She told them about her feelings, about her doubts, about her mistake. She asked for their forgiveness, said that she loved them more than anything in the world. Jake and Lily listened to her silently. They didn't condemn her, but they didn't forgive her either. They said that they needed time to get through this to understand how to live on. In late October, Sarah found out she was pregnant. She was in shock. She didn't know who the father of the child was, Matt or Alex. She understood that this would change everything, that she would have to make a decision that would affect her life and the lives of her children. She told Matt about her pregnancy. He was surprised but not happy. He said that he wasn't sure that he was ready to raise someone else's child, that he needed time to think. Sarah didn't insist. She understood that Matt had the right to his feelings. She decided to tell Alex about her pregnancy. Alex was happy. He said that he had always dreamed of a child, that he was ready to accept Sarah with any child, that he would love him as his own. He offered Sarah to marry him, to start a new life together. Sarah was touched by his words but couldn't make a decision. She understood that her choice would affect the fate of many people, that she needed to be careful. Winter in Seattle was cold and rainy. Sarah felt lonely and lost. She understood that she needed to make a choice but didn't know which path to choose. She decided to seek help from a psychologist. She told him about her life, about her feelings, about her doubts. The psychologist helped her sort things out, understand what she really wanted. After several sessions, Sarah realized that her heart belonged to Matt. She understood that she had made a mistake by betraying him, but that she still loved him. She decided to try to get him back, to prove to him that she had changed, that she was worthy of his forgiveness. She called Matt and asked him for a meeting. He agreed but came with caution. Sarah told him about her decision, about the fact that she wanted to be with him, that she was ready to raise the child alone if he didn't want to forgive her. Matt listened to her silently. He saw that Sarah was sincere, that she had really changed. He admitted that he still loved her, that it was hard for him to live without her. He said that he was ready to give her another chance, but on the condition that she would be honest with him, that she would never betray him again. Sarah agreed. She promised Matt that she would love him until the end of her days, that she would be faithful to him, that she would do everything to regain his trust. Matt forgave Sarah. He returned home to the children, to his family. They started all over again, learned to trust each other, to love each other, to forgive each other. Alex left Seattle. He understood that he couldn't be with Sarah, that he had to let her go. He wished her happiness and started a new life in another city. Sarah gave birth to a child. Matt accepted him as his own. They named him Michael. The Harrison family became even bigger, even stronger, even happier. Several years have passed. Jake and Lily grew up, became independent. Matt and Sarah are still together, love each other, appreciate every day spent together. They realize that love is not only passion, but also patience, forgiveness, trust. They realize that family is the most important thing in life, that you need to cherish it, appreciate it, love it. The story of Sarah and Matt is a story about love, infidelity, forgiveness, hope. It is a story about how even after the most difficult trials, you can find happiness if you believe in love, if you believe in family, if you believe in yourself.